talking more liposuction, fat transfer, how to get rid of those bellies, get you summer ready, get those hourglass figure, make that hanging belly go away, give you more confidence, help you fit into those clothes better, maybe get into that bikini. And all right now, we're offering this 15% off special to help you out, make this a little more affordable for each of you out there looking to change your life, transform into the new person who you want to be. Look, the world's changing really fast right now. We got technology changing, the economy's changing, there's lots of things going on, and we have to adjust to it. You know, many of us are doing this work from home thing now, and you know, we have to adjust. And if you don't adjust, then you fade off into the distance. You know, the people who survive in this type of environment are ready to change, and you have to be willing to change. And just like being willing to change in this economy, in this you know, world that we're living in right now, you have to be able to change yourself, change your mind, change your body. You know, you'll see many of these pictures behind me where these individuals, it looks like a completely different person. Right? This one in particular, she's got a tattoo, so it's, you know, it's clear it's the same person. And afterwards, the mindset, just as the visual looks different, the mindset has to change. And if it doesn't change, then eventually the look, the outside, the visual, eventually it just reoccurs. It's just a matter of time. This is why the way we are able to manifest our world is because it starts in the mind. The creation starts in the mind. And a weak mind, a mind that is not creating for itself, is influenced by other people around them. And that's usually what happens when we're younger. We don't know any better, so we're programmed. We're told what to do. You know, you need to get up now, you need to put your clothes on this way, you need to wear these kinds of clothes, you need to brush your hair this certain way, you need to brush your teeth, and this is the way you need to do it. We're told how to do all these things. And most of us, we learn those little things early on in life, and we just keep doing it the rest of our lives, and we never change. Well, the interesting thing is that those little habits, those things that you do when you're younger, some of them might not be good, they may not be serving you anymore, but yet they've caused massive issues in your life, and you keep doing them because they're normal for you. You know, you're used to doing that. So I saw a really cool movie this weekend. If you haven't checked it out, you should go see that new Marvel movie, Doctor Strange. Have you seen that yet, Grant?
No.
Doctor Strange. It's really interesting. It's exploring the concept and idea of the metaverse and the multiverse. And so this is the idea that literally at every turning point in our lives, we make a decision, right? And we have the free will, right? We believe that, at least, that we have free will to make a decision. And there is a decision to go this direction, there's a decision to go that direction. And in fact, what is believed now is that those parallel realities run simultaneously. And so it's crazy. Then so they believe that these parallel universes, so our doppelgangers, you know, the people that are us, but just in this parallel universe, it exists, is what they believe. I don't know, this quantum physics stuff is pretty wild. It's crazy. And then they put it in movies like Marvel, and Marvel is it's like almost like Back to the Future or The Matrix, and where it foreshadows and shows you what's coming in the future. And these are things that I've been studying for a long time. This whole metaverse and the multiverse, these concepts, these are mental constructs that were not thought by the Westerners. They were thought of by the Easterners, and they were passed down through oral traditions, through the Indians and you know, the Peruvians and the Aztecs. They were passed down this knowledge, this wisdom, and now it's like getting mainstream in the public, which is super exciting for the Western culture to be influenced by the Eastern philosophies. And I see a lot of cool changes now. Some of you might be like, oh no, the Eastern philosophy is like China's taking over. And it's not really like that. It's ancient philosophies and beliefs and simple stuff like you are capable of doing everything and anything. All you have to do is make the decision, right? So this idea, this multiverse, that you have to make a decision, and you either each day you either make that decision to go on the positive route or you take the negative route, and each day you get to make that choice. And sometimes you might go down that negative route for a little bit longer, then you switch back and you get back into the positive route. But it's the choices that we make on a daily basis. And here's who keeps score: your body. Your body keeps score. It depends. We're just accumulations of the things that we do. So the things that you do are going to advance your mind, grow your mind. The things that you eat are going to advance your body and grow your body. And then the activities that you do can change. We have some influence on these bodies, on this world that we live in. We have some influence. And you can see from these pictures, it's like we have a lot of influence. We can affect the things that you may have believed were once not possible. And now we know that it is possible. If you decide, you have to make a decision. You just make a decision. Yes, I want to change, and I'm willing to do what is necessary. So in this case, you pay a fee, right? You pay the procedure cost. But then afterwards, you got to change your mindset, because you got to become that new person. And if you don't become the new person, then you just turn back into that old person. Because we're just accumulations of what we do. And if you continue doing the same things, you accumulate the same body, same mind, everything stays the same. It doesn't change. However, you have the power right in the now, right at this moment, to make a choice and change and take a different direction and you can cause a different outcome in your life. Now, when we start with this procedure, this is the trigger. It's the catalyst. It pushes you over, pushes you towards and far down the path of getting better. And now you're far down this path of getting better. All you have to do is start running. Hey, I already pushed you. Now you just got to start running, right? And so I'm using this as an analogy, right? But you get pushed forward. These individuals, this is a huge leap into the future for them. Without this belly, it's a huge leap in the future, because they wouldn't have been able to achieve that on their own. Not as quickly as we were able to do with liposuction. So it's a leap forward. And then you're able to become this person. You're able to become this person. How do you do that? You just have to start acting like them. You act as if you're this person. And then eventually you do this for a year, where you're eating healthy, you're exercising, you're drinking lots of water, you're aware. And as this happens, you just slowly become. You slowly become this person. And this person may have, and it's whatever you define it to be, but this person might have better confidence. They might have, take the initiative. They might be the type of person who doesn't say no anymore. You got to change. And if you change the things that you do, all of a sudden the outcomes of your life start changing. And you start being pleasantly surprised at what could happen in your life. The amazingness, the spontaneous, the oh my gosh, this is what life is all about. Living like this. Being able to be happy enough about your body to feel and take, like, she posted this up publicly. She would have never done that before. I promise you she would have never done that. And all of these girls, they would have never posted these pictures of their body, in these nice outfits where they're going out to dinner, spending their time with friends. You go look. Don't believe me. Go look on their past. Facebook has kept track of everything, right? So I'm not making this stuff up. Just go look on the past. You can see the pictures and stuff that they showed of themselves. In many cases, you're going to find there is no history. A lot of these girls, they don't show themselves. What's up, Rebecca? Rebecca, I heard you were coming back for some more party time. We're going to take care of that lower body. Change your life. Rebecca's one of those people I'm so excited to work with her, because she has really taken this seriously, and she's working hard to become her best version. And it's cool to watch, because I know like a little bit about her life. She's got a son, a boyfriend, she got a new house, and through Facebook we're able to see these things, and I can see how she's progressed. And Rebecca, I am super proud of you. And I'm really, really happy for you that you've been able to progress and make the changes in your life that you've been able to make. And it's only going to get better. And there's always setbacks in life, but it's going to get better as long as you stay on that positive path, spreading the good word. Okay, Charlie 4450 says, are massages important? They're important if you like them. They're important if you feel like you are getting benefit from them. Now, Liposuction is the removal of fat, and you will heal without doing any lymphatic massages. It has been done for years. But there would be the argument is it better now that lymphatic massages are in the picture? And you know, I haven't seen any studies on this stuff, so I don't know. Um, However, my suggestion, and this would be if I were to do this personally, or if my wife would do this personally, um, I would try it, and if I like it, if it feels good, if it makes sense afterwards, I feel like I drained more. I feel like things are smoother. I feel like I have less swelling. Then I would definitely suggest continuing. However, on the flip side, if it's like super uncomfortable, you don't like it at all, and you don't feel like it made any difference on the swelling or the irregularities on your skin or whatever the case, if you don't feel like it made any difference, then you don't need it. And I know that there's some of the girls out there you'll see in a group. There's some of the girls that have, try to do the stuff on their own, and maybe that works. I personally, when I had the procedure, and granted this was like 15 years ago, I didn't have any lymphatic massages. I didn't really follow any rules, to be honest with you, which is why all the rules came after me, and a lot of it was because I made the mistakes. So, you know, point is do what makes sense to you. Try it at first, because a lot of people are saying it's working, it's a good thing, and it's the best, and it's in your best interest. So I would try it at first. Do 2, 3, 4 of those. See how you feel. See if it makes a difference. And if you feel like it's something that will continue to help you in the future, then I would continue to do more. What's up, Stacy Dinga? Okay, Lily MC says, do you perform the procedure? Absolutely. I was the one that started my shape lipo many moons ago. All right. Let's see. Stacy said, Rebecca says, yes, I'm doing my thighs. What's up, Danielle? 2 more weeks for Danielle. I love this like countdown when people jump on here and be like, I'm coming up in a week or 2 weeks or flying in tomorrow. And then it's cool because afterwards, those same individuals will jump on here as well as the group. So those of you who are interested and you're curious, first of all, go to our website, myshapelipo.com, and you can get the quick quote. If you're on Facebook, up in the post here, we produced a link for the quick quote. The quick quote is an easy system that you go through. You put some basic information, you get an instant quote. You don't need to send in pictures. It's based off of your height and weight, and we calculate your BMI. The BMI allows us to categorize individuals, and we've created a safety protocol, which also allows us to give recommendations and quotes like right off like immediately, which is super cool, and it makes it way easier for you guys that are looking at this. About 85% of our patients are flying in from out of state. So those of you that are watching this from all over the country, all over the world, that's okay. This is all we do. All we do is liposuction, and I'm sure you've been looking around, and you know that these type of results are not common. And I'm telling you, liposuction is not one of those things that just because you put a canyon on a guy's hand, you pay him, whatever amount of money you pay him, he's going to get you results. It just doesn't happen. These results are from over a decade of work, and tens of thousands of people, like thousands and thousands of people all over, every part of the body, and we've been able to develop these results. These are a development of the experience and the hard work. And not only that, it's about this mindset of the constant and never-ending improvement. We're always trying to improve. I am personally always trying to improve. You may think that I'm like cocky and I do get this arrogance occasionally. However, I'm very humble in that I know that I can always improve. I know that I can always get better. And as I know that if I believe that, then I will continue to advance and grow and get better, because I didn't get these results when I first started out. And even though I thought I was really good, I had this cockiness and this ego for many, many years. I thought I was great, right? But I know in looking back that even just years ago, 2 years ago, I wasn't getting the same results as I do now, because I'm constantly looking. I see things. We have issues. Like perhaps we do a procedure and we didn't get the results. I'm very critical of myself. right? And I don't necessarily tell it to the patients, but I'm very critical of myself, and so I'm watching and I'm looking for the results, and I look at these things, and I will evaluate and figure out how we could improve and change, and I know what I can control, and so that's why the magic happens in my mind, is I'm able to see these things and simulate in my mind what I think could happen, and if I can simulate it, if I can imagine it, that's where the creation process begins. And so I'm able to look at the canvas, the body, and without having any influence from outside people, I can see this and I can create in my mind, like, this individual, there's certain things that I know that could change. There's certain things that I know that would be improved, and I can visually see this stuff in my mind. This is what's developed over the years, is I have this ability to imagine. And I know that if I can imagine what's possible for these individuals, I can create it, because I see it in my head, and then I just create it. I manifest it. Is the word that apparently is used in the industry. Manifest the idea, the vision, the pictures that I see in my mind. We got Sierra from MyShape. She's one of our medical assistants. Susie's here as well, answering questions. Rebecca's like a rock star. She's been around longer than anybody else. Okay. Danielle says, hope you're all ready to hit these arms and back rolls and get rid of this turkey neck. Man, I'm always ready, Danielle. So everybody says, you're like, oh, you probably don't have to work out because, you're working out so hard during the procedure. And first of all, because I track my stuff now, and the interesting thing is that my heart rate, I average my heart rate is about 130, but I'll average that for about 6 hours when doing this liposuction. So the energy that I burn doing liposuction is almost equivalent to running a marathon every day. Crazy stuff. I had no idea until I started tracking this stuff, but apparently my heart rate is elevated, and it stays elevated for an extended period of time, which builds the endurance. So some of you might say, well, you get such a good workout. Well, the only reason I'm able to do that is because of how hard I work out where nobody's looking. Is where I'm running in the morning, I'm getting up and doing strength training, I do flexibility training, and all these things nobody sees this stuff, nobody knows this stuff, and this is just like these major athletes like Kobe or Jordan, in that when we see them, it looks like it's flawless and so easy, and they're smooth as silk. But what we don't realize is the thousands of hours that it took for them to develop that flawless, smooth, silky movement. And that's what I've spent literally thousands and thousands of hours developing my abilities and skills to be able to do this. But not only the time and actually the work, but the time and preparation and being able to prepare my body and my mind to be able to do this and work as hard as I do and stay focused and be able to get results. And the crazy thing is like I'm just as ready to go at the end of the day, almost every day. I have so much energy. I've cultivated this energy within me, which has allowed me to do this stuff. So it's not hard. And I'm telling you, there's lots of other people out there that are trying to do this, and they are finding out for themselves. Can you bleed out from doing this procedure? Adelita, theoretically it's possible. It's never happened with me. We have very little bleeding throughout the procedure. The medication that we utilize is it constricts the blood vessels. So it's got the fluid that we inject into the fat layer. It has a numbing fluid, which is lidocaine, and epinephrine. Epinephrine constricts the blood vessels. So you'll see some of the people, but you'll see that when the fluid gets in there, your skin actually starts turning white. Even darker individuals, your skin's going to start to turn white or a lack of color. And the reason behind that is that all the blood is moving away from the area. So the blood moves away from the area, and the skin and everything will appear white. And then when we remove the fat, there's very little bleeding. So it's made it so there's very little blood loss throughout this procedure, which is the key, and it was what has made this procedure so safe. So I wouldn't ever worry about that, Adelita. The only concern is if you were already anemic, like severely anemic, coming into the procedure, then it'd become, more of an issue. But there's very little blood loss. If taking phentermine, how long before the procedure should we go off? I don't like phentermine. Phentermine is one of the, it's one of those, it's a drug, right? It speeds up. It's a speed essentially, and the speed is not good for you. It's not good for your heart. It speeds up your everything, your organs, and it's basically like we're trying to manipulate the system instead of doing what's necessary. Meaning, instead of changing your diet and exercise appropriately, instead of getting more active, instead of drinking more water, instead of like doing the things that are going to get you healthy, it's taking a drug which will trick your system into losing weight and doing things, but it's a temporary fix. And if you don't change all the other stuff, it doesn't matter. You can change it, you can lose 20, 30 pounds, so what? But then you're going to go back to doing the same old patterns, and it's just you're going to reoccur. So Danielle, for your question, stop 2 weeks before, but I would never go back to phentermine. It's totally against my philosophy and my belief structure. But again, this is your choice, your life. You do what you got to do. But I know that to get the long-term results for any of this stuff, if you want to transform your life, if you want to get the results for the long term, you have to change the mindset and the way that you think about your life, the way that you think about your body, the way that you think about your future. If you don't change those things, then nothing changes. You're just going to continue to recreate the same issues. Okay, so Yoli Michoacana says, so I have a question for you. To do a metabolic and bariatric surgery for weight loss. I have so much weight, over 100 pounds. Do you recommend me to do surgery or wait to lose the weight and do then? So, I don't know that there's a right answer for this. I've treated people both directions. We just treated a patient the other day who had an excessive belly, like really, it was really large. And she clearly, she was close to, I would say 350, 400. And she really needed a weight loss surgery because, what we treated was just like, we just took the front of the belly down. And while it made a big difference, and it does make a big difference, it's a drop in the bucket when you consider the whole problem. So I don't know for you in particular what the right answer is, but again, no long-term solution is going to involve anything other than eating properly, drinking plenty of water, and being active. There's no solution in the future that you're going to live a healthy lifestyle without those things. So first is take care of yourself. It's like self-love. You got to love yourself enough to care to take care of yourself because you deserve it. Because this is the only body that we have. And if you don't take care of it, no one else cares. It's not their body. If your body fails you when you're young, that's your problem, not mine. And if I'm related to you, like I may care about you, I may love you, and it may hurt my soul to watch you go through this struggle. It may hurt. But ultimately, it's your choice. And until you realize that, you won't change. When you think that other things are happening to you, that people are causing things in your life, it's not. It's your choices. Your choices, every choice that you make on a daily basis, you choose to allow yourself to be in the situations. And many of those choices that you made decades ago you're reaping the problems now. And it still is never too late. Because now is when you can change. And the only time you can change is now. Because tomorrow never exists. When you tell yourself, I'm going to do something tomorrow, when tomorrow comes around, what you believed was tomorrow, it's actually a today. And it's actually a now. The only time we ever get to experience is now. So stop talking about the past. Because that's just remembering and then you're recreating it. Predict your future. And make it happen. That's the only way to make it happen. You predict your future. You say, I want to do this. They call this goal setting. So you set a goal, and then you do, and then you get to that goal, and you achieve. Okay? Or you start thinking of the past. Whoops. All right. Sorry about that. People call me in the middle of my live. What's wrong with them? So Danielle, I don't mean to put, I certainly don't mean to offend you. And the phentermine I know is an option, and I don't, I'm not judging anybody for doing that. That's again, it's your choice, and in your life that may have made sense to you, but just from my experience is that you have to change everything about your mind. And if the mind doesn't change and the body doesn't change, and making a decision to change the body without changing the mind it's inevitable that it's just going to reoccur. We are doomed to repeat our mistakes until we change them. Okay, is it safe for a diabetic with high blood pressure to get the procedure done? Well, it is if those are both under control. So indeed, it's really this is an amazing procedure to help get those things in better control. But coming into the procedure, particularly for diabetes, it's important that the diabetic person have their blood sugars under control, and we're going to do a test called the hemoglobin A1C, which will test your blood sugar to see how well it's been controlled for the past 3 months. And I have a awesome story. We had a patient recently who came in for her procedure, and the day of her procedure, well, actually a couple days before, we got her lab results, and we ended up having to cancel the procedure, which is very disappointing for the patient, very disappointing for us, all parties involved, right? However, I just spoke with her today. 3 months later, she lowered her hemoglobin A1C from 10.8 to I think it was mid sevens. So that's huge. That's huge. And she did it all with diet and exercise. All of it. And I'm telling you, why couldn't she do it before, right? So what changed? She had motivation now. She wanted to get this procedure, so she was willing to do what was necessary. And then you got to start wondering, why the hell didn't you do this stuff later or previously? Why weren't you doing the things that are necessary for you to live your best life? Why wasn't she doing the things that are necessary to have her hemoglobin A1C in the proper ranges? Because that's what's healthy. That's what's going to help her live longer. It's going to help her feel better. But why didn't she do it? Why didn't she do it? And then why do we as humans, why do we do things that are not in our best interest? Well, sometimes you get a short-term benefit and long-term failure. Smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol. Right? Short-term, it feels good. I feel a certain way. I don't have to stress anymore. I don't have to think about such and such. Whatever it is, it's a good thing for the short term. Problem is you keep doing that over the long term, and we all know what the consequences are. So you need to start seeing yourself in not a just a momentary thing, but your life extends. And so start thinking of the consequences of the actions that you've taken now. So whatever you've done up to this point has you where you are now. And if you continue to do those things, where is it going to put you in 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Are you going to be bigger? Are you going to be more insecure? Are you going to be happier? Are you going to be sad? What are you going to be? You have to start predicting your own future based off of the current path. What are you going to be? And if that's not acceptable for you, then it's time to change. If it's time to change, then it's making a decision in the now. This is the only time you're going to make a decision. The only time to make the decision is in the now. And the longer you kick this down the road, the less time you're going to have to be healthy towards the end of your life. Danielle says, booking my procedure really motivated me to get my eating and exercise under control before the change. I want to already have the habit and routine down so I'm not struggling to grasp it. Man, Danielle, you nailed it right on the head, and I highly suggest all of you individuals, especially the individuals out there that are like, oh, I can't afford this, I don't have the money. Great. Change your lifestyle. It's free. Just make better decisions. Just listen to what I'm saying. Make better decisions, and all of a sudden you're going to start feeling better about yourself. You're going to start losing weight. You're going to get motivated. You're going to get inspired, and maybe it changes things in your life. Maybe you get you figure out a way to make more money, or get a different job, or maybe you get promoted, or who knows. But what you can do now is take the first step. And I don't know where you are right at this moment, but that first step is just in the right direction. What does that mean? Maybe it means going to our website and going and getting the quick quote and seeing what the price is for this. Maybe it means you need to just go outside and walk. Maybe it means you You need to start figuring out how you can eat healthier and what that means. And before you get all boggly head and overwhelmed with stuff, here's the thing: just try. Just try something and fail, because that's how you really learn. When you make a mistake somewhere, you're like, damn it, I shouldn't have done that. But next time, I'm gonna take a different path, and that's how you learn. So stop being so scared of failing, because the failing is what helps you to learn. And without failing, then you never get any better. So most people are like, I don't like to fail, so they don't take the risk. And when you don't take the risk, you never advance. You never fail, but you never advance. So I'm really happy for you, Danielle. I'm glad that you've decided to make the changes in your life. And it's definitely, you start now, because here's the truth: is it's not just a now. Today's it's the beginning, and you have to keep going, and it continues to improve again, and it continues to get better. And the interesting thing is that you develop this level of discipline, and how often can you show up? And when you show up every day and you do the things that you're supposed to do, then you'll build the discipline, and it's like a muscle. And if you can start doing it consistently, you get stronger at it. And when you start developing the discipline to do one thing, now you can expand that discipline, and now I can do another thing, and expand and do another thing, and expand and do another thing, and I have all these disciplines that are making me better. And all of a sudden, like a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, your whole life has changed. And it's just by selectively adding on positive habits. I mean, it'll seem like magic, but it's not that difficult. It's simple little habits. Little simple stuff. Walk more. Drink more water. Okay, Yoli says, I did change my diet and exercise. And so here, what happens if you change your diet, you change your exercise, and you're still not getting results? What do? People are like, I'm so disappointed. I'm not going to work out anymore because I tried working out and I didn't get the results, or I tried going vegetarian for a couple days and I didn't lose the weight. So what happens when you don't get the results? What do? So what do? You dig deeper. You double down. You go more. Improve your diet even more. Work out even harder. Like, you have to keep pushing. Like, we already know this is the way to do it. You don't have to make it up. I already know this is the way to do it. So either you decide to go forward on the positive path, which you don't have to make up, but the shining lights are all over it already. It's already out there. All you have to do is decide that, yes, I'm going to do this. Okay? Then there's simple little habits and patterns that you need to adjust and implement in your life that are going to make your life better. Drink more water. Start tracking it. It's not easy. It is easy, but it's not easy, right? You actually have to do this stuff. You actually have to drink. And if you're not used to drinking as much water as you need to drink, then it's going to feel uncomfortable. Change is always a little bit, there's always a little bit of friction when you change. It's always a little bit uncomfortable. And that's okay. It's not supposed to be so easy, but it can be. Because where does the difficulty come from? The difficulty only comes from your resistance. I don't want to do that. That's the friction. That's the challenge. That's the struggle, is when I say I don't want to do it. But if you dive head first into this stuff and you just do, there's no friction. It's smooth. It's easy. It's easy. It's not that hard. Yoli, it's a great exercise. I mean, great changes. Keep going. Once you've changed your diet and your exercise, here's the thing: is like, once you start showing up for whatever you chose to show up for, whether it's eating less sugar, or whatever you decided to change, your exercise, if that's going, maybe it's going just like once a week, or maybe it's walking more often, or whatever the case is, whatever it is, you do that, and then you build the muscle. You're like, oh, that's easy. I can do that. I can do more. I can do just a little bit more. It's like 1% more. You just do a little bit more, and just do it. And then you do 1% more, you get a little bit stronger, and you're like, that's not that hard. I think I can do more. And you do better. And this is where it's a slow step. And next thing you know, as you're building up this muscle of discipline, this strength that you have, all of a sudden, you're able to do a lot more. And especially when you look back after a year or 2 years, and you've been following your disciplines, you've been showing up every day When you show up every day awake and conscious and aware of what you're doing, your life is going to be absolutely, totally, 1,000% different. And you're going to be so happy with yourself. And the people around you will be inspired and motivated because they didn't realize that it was possible. When they saw that person who always struggled, who was the epitome of whatever, right? And then now all of a sudden you're a positive influence, you're inspired personally. That's the kind of stuff that it's the ripple effect. So if this positive energy that I'm emitting to you and causing you to take action and do, that energy, it shakes, it moves, and it gets other people around you inspired and motivated, and it shakes and moves them. And next thing you know, they're like, I want to eat better. Look at this. This person's got energy. This person's healthy. Look at their skin is good. Their eyes are clear. They're happy. They're smiling. I want to be like that. How does that happen? So, when you start thinking, all you have to do is start doing the things that those people do. And I'm telling you, I do this stuff. I'm not just telling you because you're a patient or you're thinking about changing. I do this stuff, and I've been doing it for almost a decade now. So this is what happens. I'm 6% body fat, and I feel like I'm full all the time. I eat as much as I want, and I like what I eat, and I'm happy with it. I have so much energy. This is what comes. It comes. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. Certain patterns that you do. You can do it too. It's a choice. And it comes when it's like you got to hit rock bottom. Boom. You got to hit that bottom, and you got to decide, I will never get this low again. Never. And it's like that level of pain that propels you forward. And some of you know what I'm talking about. Some of you have hit that bottom, and I'm like, you're so like, I don't know, maybe it was a drug binge or an alcohol binge, or something happened and you lost everything, and you hit that bottom, and you this is it. It's time to change. So that can happen with trauma, absolutely. But could it happen artificially? Could you cause it to happen on your brain? Is it possible? All these things that have been happening to you have been happening slowly over time. But if you had the awareness and consciousness to look back and see the things that happened to you, and then pack it all into once and see it all came from this, and this. And if I change this, and this, then all that thing will be undone. And in fact, that's what happens. You change your diet, and you make some small changes, like stop drinking soda, drink only water. Change the food that you eat. Eat only organic food. Cut out more meat. So do less red meat. Simple stuff, right? And then as these are like little rules, right? Then as time you get less and less red meat, more and more water, right? And these are the things I'm telling you, as our body accumulates. When you eat these things, when you drink these things, the activities that you do, the motions that you do, it's an accumulation, and your body just becomes. It's inevitable. But the choice is yours. Oh, Brene Brown. I read her book. She's got a special on Netflix. I don't know. I read one of her books, and I just didn't like her personally. For whatever reason, I don't know. I didn't connect with her. Let's see. D. Jax. Why are some patients' stomachs really dark after the procedure? That's an interesting question. So I'm going to use this analogy. So we all know balloons, right? And let's say we had a blue balloon, and that blue balloon, when it was deflated, it's a dark blue. It's really dark. But when we inflate it, you blow it up, that dark blue starts to turn lighter, and it has a different color to it. So the reasoning behind that is when it's smaller, the pigmentation, the color molecules are closer together, and therefore darker. And so the same thing happens with individuals. Particularly, you'll notice it more on the darker skin individuals, to where when they are larger, when their skin's stretched out, when they have more fat, and the balloon is inflated. When the balloon's inflated, it's a lighter color because your skin's stretched out. But then when you deflate the balloon, you shrink everything up. The molecules in skin tone is the melanin. They come closer to each other. When they come closer to each other, it'll appear, the visually it'll look darker. Now, in most cases, my understanding of this is that things kind of regulate and the skin tone will modulate and go back to a normal skin tone. But I would get into our private Facebook group. The private Facebook group is a place where our previous patients are there, and if you haven't joined it yet, private Facebook group is My Shape Lipo Support Group. You're just going to go on Facebook and search the groups. Our previous patients are there, and they're explaining, answering questions, sharing their stories. So go connect with one of them and see what their thoughts are. And there's people that have had the procedure from a long time ago, so you'll have people to question how it's turned out for the long term. What's up, South Carolina? Glorious woman. Yeah, I appreciate you too. Okay, do you have payment options? So Yoli, we have a payment option. It's kind of like a layaway plan where you make payments on a monthly basis, and when you're paid in full, you go ahead and move forward. We also have there's a finance company, third-party finance company that we deal with. After you do your consultation, the paid consultation, you'll know your number, then you can go ahead and apply for financing. Okay. Yes, what's that? Cool girl Jewel. Say we do lipo and we do fat transfer. So the liposuction is the removal of fat. Fat transfer is taking that fat and putting it back in the breast or the butt. But technically, fat can be removed from anywhere. It can be put back anywhere. So fat is used as a filler. So this is like what fat transfer to the butt looks like. In the real world, they call it the BBL or Brazilian butt lift. But it's just fat transfer and liposuction combination. So the liposuction carves out the shape. So you see in this one in particular, we carved out the shape with that hourglass figure and then added volume to give her a little bit more width in that upside down heart shape. What about fat transfer to the thighs? A lot of people will ask that. So the girls will say, I want to fill in the hips area. They say they want to fill in the hips area here because you see how it's squared off. And so you can see how we do fill in, but a big part of this is the removal of the fat in this area here. It's the removal to create that slope, that hourglass figure to where things are kind of funneling up into the waistline. And then the width you really want at the bottom part of the butt. So you create this upside down heart. So that's how we do it. But cool girl Jewel, if you have some specific stuff that you wanted to discuss, I would need to see some pictures of you and your body in particular. Yeah, Rebecca, I'll go check out Brene Brown. She's one of those, she's like self-help books. So she's one of those people I get recommended all the time from when I read. My AI tells me I want all these self-help books because I read a lot of that stuff. Okay, Maria, hopefully Susie can jump on that. There you go, Susie. Okay. Do you work with people who have a heart condition, or do you need a doctor consent for surgery? So how we do, and again, you just need to be healthy for this procedure. So whatever health conditions you might have, as long as they're controlled, and this is standard in the medical industry. So what I would do is, if we're going to have a procedure and you're being treated for your heart condition, we would consult with them or ask them essentially, hey, do you this person, can you tell us about their condition, and this is what they want to do, is there going to be an issue with that? And this is basically medical clearance. We're just asking their opinion. They say, hey, yeah, they're healthy enough, they have X, Y, and Z, they've done whatever their labs and this and that, which proves that they're healthy enough to do this procedure. Now, with that said, there's always risks involved in everything. So, moving forward with something like this, you just have to understand the potential risks and realize that it's always possible for bad things to happen. And everybody plans for good stuff to happen, but if you're not prepared for the bad stuff, then you'd be surprised and you'd be, upset and disappointed. But the truth is that, you have to be conscious and aware of what you're getting into. But we try to help with all that stuff. We do the medical clearance, we'll do lab work, and we'll communicate with your treating physician to ensure that you're healthy. How far away are appointments? They're right here. You for this special here, this 15% off, you have to place your deposit this month and have the procedure next month. So we should be able to get you in within the next month or so, is what we're trying to fill up. As far as the consultations, the initial quick quote is quick, it's easy, it's free. You get it right now while we're talking. You can jump over to our website, click on the link for the quick quote, myshapelipo.com, and it'll get you your pricing quick and easy. Then when you're serious, you're ready to move forward, and particularly if you want to take advantage of this special, it's 15% off special, and if you want to take advantage of that, you have to place a deposit before the end of the month. Stacy says, listen, if I can do it, so can you. That's really, a lot of this, when we're sharing the stories of these individuals, that's really what I want you to realize, is that if it's possible for these individuals, they're just like you. We're all the same. And sometimes individuals, we do certain habits, and those certain habits, they lead to the same problems. And so a lot of these individuals, they commute, they connect with each other because they've done the same things, and now they're facing the same problems. And now Stacy can look back and be like, hey, I solved this problem, this is how I did it, and she's helping. So it's amazing, really. And it's heartwarming to see that people like Stacy are giving back and helping those behind her that just need a little help. Stacy says, your skin color will return back to normal. Thank you, Stacy. This happened to me, but my color came back. Good to know. When I see it the day of the procedure, I see probably the most dramatic skin color change, and I know that it's normal, and I know that it happens when I get more aggressive. When I'm not as aggressive, the skin's still stretched out, and it doesn't change color the way it can when I get more aggressive. But what happens is when I get more aggressive, there's like a point when I get aggressive enough, and all of a sudden, it's like that the skin tightens up and things contract, and that's when the skin tone starts to change. And it's pretty fun to watch, and it's kind of one of my indicators of when I know that I've done enough. When I know that, when the skin tone starts to change, I know that I have done enough and it's made a big enough change. And that's when you really, it unlocks the skin, because literally the fat is holding it locked up into this position to where it can't tighten, it can't get smaller. So a lot of doctors, that don't take out as much fat, they have this empty hanging sac because they never got to the point where they allowed for that skin to tighten up that much. You just have to be aggressive enough, and I know what I'm doing. So when I know how to get to that point, and it allows for the skin to tighten up, and that's why these folds, they go away, because it's like I figured out the code. I figured out how to unlock the skin and get it to do what I want it to do. I control it, and it's pretty freaking cool. And when you guys see this stuff in person, you're gonna be blown away. Promise you. You just got to show up. As with anything in life, you just show up. So, those of you who are considering, you're interested, the first thing, you just got to jump on and get that quick quote. The quick quote is just, you're going to put in your basic information, including your height and your weight, and it's going to calculate your BMI. So the BMI is the body mass index, and what that does is it's almost like creating a volume. It tells us a volume of fat that you carry, and it allows us to create these protocols, these safety protocols, where depending on your BMI, because I've done this thousands of times and we have a backlog of data of people, the supercomputer figured this out, and that we can categorize these individuals, and based off the categories we can have different recommendations and different pricing based off of the job that needs to be done. So that's where the quick quote is amazing. It's incredible that you're able to get your quote so easily, so quickly, and it's amazingly accurate. It really when I'm doing the consultations, I'm using the quick quote system to quote you. So that's how we figure out our pricing. And there's going to be some people that don't fit specifically into this little box that we've created, and that's why when we do the formal consultation, that's when I'm going to review the pictures, and I need to visually see this, and so I need to link together the data that we collect from the quick quote from your BMI to the data of the pictures and from the different angles, and I can then in my mind I can create this three-dimensional vision of what is your body. Then I create my plan, what I can do, and then I know what I've done in the past. I know what I've done in the past is likely I'll have to do the same things and I'll get the same outcome. And in fact, that's what happens. And I know that I can do it with you in just the same way that I do it with you. It's the same patterns that I do. You can do the same patterns that like Stacy Dinga does, that Rebecca does. It's the same patterns. You can do the same things to get the same results that they've been doing outside of liposuction. Yes, the liposuction gets you these results. However, if you don't change your life, you don't change your mindset, you don't change your patterns, your habits, if you don't change these things, then nothing will change ultimately. And eventually, you'll just recreate the same issues. I know you guys, you're looking for this, like, just take a pill. Is there one exercise that I can do to just, not have to work out ever again? Or, you got to get out of that mindset. This whole like go on vacation, lay on the beach and do nothing, that's a dream. And that's the illusion that our government has been pushing. You just want to, get a house, and then you're going to go on vacation twice a year, and then ultimately you're going to retire on a beach and do nothing and sip margaritas. Like, that's a dream. It's hocus pocus. It's the illusion. That's not what's going to make you happy. What's going to make you happy is continuing to advance and grow. That's where you'll feel better about yourself, that you're just a little bit better than you were yesterday. But when you start declining because you're not doing anything, that's what's going to happen when you retire. You start declining. It happens quickly. You decline quickly, because if you're not doing anything with your life, you're not advancing, you're not growing, you're going backwards. And there's a lot of people that end up dying shortly after they retired because they don't do anything. They thought that when they retired, they were going to sit around and do nothing. And it's only so many times you can, drink your coffee on the porch and look at the cars passing by and the people walking, like, there's only so long you can do that stuff. There's only so many vacations where you can go sit on the beach and drinking margaritas. That's it, and then you do it a few times, you're like, all right, that's cool. Now what? Like, change your mindset. Change the way that you see this world, your world. How is your world getting better? Maybe you've been stuck sedentary for a decade, and because you've been sedentary, you haven't been able to get out and see all this nature and amazing things that are around you, because you've been sitting indoors for too long. Maybe you haven't been able to travel and see what this world has to offer, and you feel neglected. This is one of those things that, like, liposuction can, like, propel you forward. And all of a sudden, without this big belly in the way, it's easier. You can travel more. You don't have to, you don't have to worry as far as, like, fitting into seats, or not having enough energy. Once you cultivate the energy, you build yourself up because you care about yourself. And it all comes back to that. It all comes back to the self-love. What's up, Esmeralda? Glorious Woman says, the quick quote works just fine. Thank you. That's good to hear. I worked really hard at developing that, and you know that's one of those things. You know, it's probably taken me about 4 years to come up with that, and the irony of that is that for those of you that have been following me for a long time, you know that I have spoken not as positive as others about the BMI and the use of the BMI because I know many of my competitors utilize the BMI as a restriction. So you can't get this procedure if you're over, whatever BMI. And that was their restrictions. And I hated that. I hate restricting people. I don't personally like restrictions, and therefore I don't want to give you restrictions. So I wanted to be open minded and try to figure out how we can make this work. And as far as the quick quote system, the quick quote and being able to quote an individual without us actually seeing you, that was the challenge. And I've been developing in my mind how this could work, and I could never figure out how it could work. Then I got smart. Then I started reading a bunch of stuff, and I started having some ideas, and I started learning about machine learning and artificial intelligence, and I collected data. So, a lot of the companies like Facebook, we've been collecting data, and so the data we can utilize to do some of the things that we thought were impossible before. So in my case, what I did is I took the data, which allowed me to create this categorization based off of the BMI, and to give safety protocol recommendations and quotes. I mean, it's phenomenal, and there's nothing on the market like it because I've looked. There's a company that's trying to do this type of stuff, but it's a bait and switch type program where they really don't quote you accurately, and all they're trying to do is collect your data, collect your information, your contact information. That's all they're trying to do. And once they get your contact information, they're like, oh, well, that quote, that wasn't really accurate, but because you have this, this, and this is what the quote's going to be. Okay. Kamini says, do you have to be awake to have lipo? So you don't have to be awake. That's just a technique that we use. It's called the tumescent technique. It's the safest, most cost-effective way of doing it. By far, it's the safest. If you do any research on this, because like I'm the type of person, I want to know all the ways that bad things can happen, right? So if you do research on how all the bad things that happen with liposuction, inevitably, all of them are with general anesthesia. And just do the research yourself. Very few procedures that utilize the tumescent technique have had any deaths or major complications. So it's significantly safer. Statistically, it is significantly safer, and it's more cost effective. When you do general anesthesia, you have to be there has to be a second doctor that does the anesthesia. And when you say put to sleep, and you're really not being put to sleep. Your brain, your consciousness is being shut off. They give you drugs that stop you. It literally stops your consciousness. You won't remember anything, and you stop breathing. You stop breathing. That's how serious this stuff is. So you stop breathing. So you put a tube down your throat, and then you have a doctor that's constantly infusing this medication that keeps you asleep, but you're not breathing, and bad things happen. That's when bad things happen. They happen with the anesthesia. That's why these anesthesiologists get paid so well. They get paid so well because when crap goes wrong for an anesthesiologist, it's really wrong. So I know usually like it's the younger people who don't realize how bad the general anesthesia is. They think that it's just going to sleep. But just do your own research, and for you maybe it makes sense. Liposuction with the tumescent technique is not for everybody. Not everybody can tolerate it. So it's not easy. But it's way safer, and it's more cost effective, and you recover quicker. It's less traumatic. When they put you to sleep, the doctors have free reign to do whatever they want. There's no one to say ouch. There's no one to say anything because your consciousness is shut off. Okay, Throne of Demetria says, I have diabetes. Do I need a clearance to get the lipo? Yes. But let's start with the first thing first is we want to know that your diabetes is controlled. So you should have a good idea if it's controlled. And what we're looking for is a hemoglobin A1C, and you need to be, below 8, so somewhere in the 7 range would be the maximum. So if you have over 8, then you're not a good candidate at this point. But as I said earlier, there was a patient that I just spoke to today. In 3 months, she dropped her hemoglobin A1C from a 10.8 to a mid 7s. So it can be done, and it can be done quickly. And with the diabetes, again, you got to change your lifestyle changes. Diabetes is all about lifestyle, and you can manage it with your lifestyle, with eating better foods and being more active. And getting liposuction is actually going to help you as a diabetic. Okay, that's why I'm scared to do surgery. I'd rather do lipo. Okay, comedian, thank you. Yes, I have had issues waking up and always sick afterwards. Yeah, that's the problem. So I mean, if you've had general anesthesia, you've had those issues, and you already know firsthand it sucks. Those patients that it's like people always say they wake up in this fog, like you can't think straight for sometimes months after you get general anesthesia. So what I would suggest for me and for my family members, what I suggest is, if you can avoid general anesthesia, avoid it at all costs. Now, there's going to be times when you get older, perhaps, like maybe you have heart surgery or whatever surgery that you have that requires you have to do general anesthesia. That's when you get it. When there's no other choice, that's when you get it. So, but you save yourself for that time when there's no other choice. And when there is a choice, I would choose the safest way. I would choose doing the local anesthetic. So, that's just me. All right, well, thank you so much. I'm going to end this now. Now, we do have this special going on, 15% off. So the first step is getting your quick quote. You'll get your pricing, and once you're serious about it, you know what the pricing is, and then you're going to also take the 15% off. But the deal with this is you have to place the deposit by the end of this month, and then you have to have the procedure within the next month. So get the quick quote, then you'll see the pricing. Then the pricing will be 15% off of that. But you won't appreciate the discount until you place your deposit. So once you place your deposit, that's when you'll get that discount. So thank you so much for watching, and I will be back later this week.